So, welcome along to another Pixiecast, and I am in Australia for the first time. I've been to New Zealand a couple of times, so I thought it was only right that I started to redress the balance, certainly with an Australian wife as well. She was very keen for me to visit Australia, and I'm delighted to say that the first Australian I'm speaking to is Clem Ringstad in Sydney. Clem, how are you?
How are you, Andrew?
I'm
It's
very
nice
well,
to speak with
thank you.
you.
It's good to speak to
Yeah,
you as well. So,
great. It's great to be here.
living life in Sydney, a great city.
Yes, it is. Yeah, it's great. It's the end of the day now, and yeah, I just got home from work a few hours ago, and yeah, it's a nice warm day today. Yeah,
Moving
here
into
we
the
are.
spring?
We are moving into the spring, so I've had some pretty warm days the last couple of days, actually. So it's kind of a bit of a weird time of year. Weather sort of gets a bit cool, then it gets warmer, but it's generally starting to warm up now, so that's good.
Lovely. And what part of Sydney are you in? Because it's quite a big city.
So I'm southern suburbs of Sydney.
Okay.
So Sydney's a pretty big place. It's got the urban sprawl, so I'm about 35 kilometres out of the CBD of Sydney,
Okay.
towards Wollongong.
Okay.
And so, if you drove from the centre of Sydney, it'd probably take about an hour to get to where I live,
Sure. Okay.
traffic.
And you're a physiotherapist, I believe.
I am. And I work locally. So I'm just about 10 minutes from work. I'm a partner in a private practice. And it's like a general practice, really, sports practice. We do some hospital work as well, and I'm out in the community. So yeah, I've got a pretty busy job, I guess. Yeah,
Lovely.
like a lot of people.
Absolutely, yeah. So you've been doing that for quite a few years, I guess.
I've been a physiotherapist for about 26 years.
Okay.
So yeah, that's So mid-90s. I was a registered nurse before that as well. So I've sort of been a professional. Yeah. A large part of my working life, anyway. Yeah.
Lovely. And how's lockdown affected your working life?
Not too bad. We've been very fortunate here, particularly in New South Wales and Sydney. Not so much in Victoria. To our friends like Danielle and Tasha and Adam, Luke down there. But we've been very, very lucky. I've been very fortunate that I've been able to work. And I guess my work is sort of like essential. I wouldn't call myself a frontline worker. Although I do have colleagues that work in the hospital system. They've been okay. I've actually got a few friends in the NHS over in the UK. A couple of occupational therapists and physios. And, yeah, they've been really going hard. So it's been a tough time, particularly for you guys. So
yeah, very much.
And I know in the States it's been like a catastrophe. Really, it's awful. Really. Yeah. So we're very blessed here. So very fortunate.
And still some ways to go as well, from what we understand. Certainly over here, it looks like it's going backwards a little bit at the moment. So, yeah, not good.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we just. I don't think we're really out of any trouble until we have a vaccine, and that's, when we get that, we'll be able to hopefully get on with our lives a little bit and go to concerts. It was only 3 days out from seeing the Pixies.
Yeah.
In Sydney, when
you were one of the lucky ones.
Yeah, well, no, I didn't see them.
Oh, you didn't see them? Oh, okay.
No, because I knew they played the gig at in Melbourne, in St Kilda, and then the next night they flew to Brisbane, and then they cancelled the gig there, and then flew straight back to the States, and we were going to see them at the Opera House in Sydney on Saturday. So it was like 3 days out, but I mean, it was the right thing to do. It was just getting scary then,
Well, so, Pixies at the Opera House, that would have been something pretty special.
Yeah, well, actually, it was going to be really good because they were going to play in the forecourt, which is it's a fantastic spot.
Yeah, I know.
It would be great as a live concert, to put on a DVD type thing. because the backdrop is stunning. You've got the Opera House and the Harbour Bridge, and it's a working port. They played there in 2014, I think, and inside the Opera House. And I didn't get to go to that gig, but I heard it was kind of like a weird gig because everyone had to sit down in the Pixies gig, because it's Opera House. Like you can't sit down at the Pixies,
So where did it all begin for you then with your Pixies journey?
Probably, so it would have been when I was at university. So I think it was about 1989.
Yeah.
And it was funny. It was really weird because I'd gone to see U2.
Okay.
And then I was listening to this radio interview that Bono had given on one of the local radios, and he started talking about this band called Pixies. And I sort of thought, oh, who's this, And then he started talking about this character called Black Francis, and and I thought, this is really interesting, And then they played Money Gone to Heaven, and I thought, oh, okay, now I'm in,
Yeah.
And like a couple of days later, I went to the record store and bought Doolittle.
Okay.
And then really, I played the backside off that record. It's probably still my favourite Pixies record.
Good man.
And then, sort of went back to Surfer Rosa and then Come On Pilgrim.
Yeah.
And then by that time, Bossa Nova was coming out, and, onward we go.
And was it long before you had to wait to get to see them live? I guess they don't go to Australia that often, do they?
Well, I saw Frank Black before I saw the Pixies.
Okay.
So I saw Frank Black at the Phoenician Club in Chippendale, which is a suburb of Sydney. It would have been 96, 97.
Okay.
And it was sort of off his Men in Black around that period. And like he played all his stuff from his first album and Teenager of the Year. And it was a great gig. It was a rollicking sort of gig. You know what he's like when he just gets into into that zone. It was really good. I didn't actually see the Pixies, Andrew, until 2017.
Okay.
So it's like, wow, it's what took me so long. But just one of the vagaries of life and not being around at times when the Pixies played. They only come to Australia a few times.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I guess you're lucky that in Sydney, though, the bands do come to Sydney, don't they? One of the things that Jordan, my wife from Adelaide, she always complains about is that no one ever goes to Adelaide, or very rarely goes to Adelaide. So
well, the Beatles went there.
The Beatles went there, did they? Oh, okay. And now,
they did. The Beatles went to Adelaide in like '64 when they came to Australia. Okay. And apparently they weren't going to go to Adelaide.
That even predates me, though, Clem, I'm afraid.
Yeah,
Certainly
I know.
predates Jordan.
Predates me. And they got petitioned to go there. There was some sort of like radio competition. So they ended up going to play in Adelaide, the Beatles, and they played it. And apparently, like, it was the biggest ever crowd that met them at the airport. It was like the whole city came out. Apparently, like, Paul McCartney still talks about it anyway. There's a little tidbit about Adelaide for you.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's some compensation then, that the biggest band in the world ever probably has played Adelaide. So, but yeah, 100%. Certainly it's certainly seeing Pixies over in Australia and New Zealand are sort of rare opportunities, aren't they?
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, I've seen the Breeders as well, but seeing the Pixies a couple of years ago, it was unbelievable, really.
Yeah.
And I mean, they're coming, so hopefully they're going to come back, and just resume the rest of the tour when everything gets back to normal. But it was once in a lifetime, really.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. So other bands that you've been able to see in Sydney over the years?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I've seen lots of bands over the years. Probably because, when they come to Sydney, you'll go and see them, So I've seen sort of everyone from, Robert Plant, Jimmy Page, Phil Collins, to AC/DC, to who's Bob Mould, just lots of different bands. I mean, there's probably so many of different variances. You're
not Australian unless you've seen AC/DC, are you?
Yeah, well, it's funny. There's sort of, seeing them now, I mean, they're sort of really broken up now. I mean, they're not really AC/DC anymore, are they? But I mean, my wife tells the story of seeing them when she was 15 at the local YMCA, you know, when they were playing, you know, because they were a Sydney band, and, you know, just playing in the pubs, you know, and just raising hell at that stage. You know, that was like late 70s, mid 70s.
Wow. That would have been some event to be there at that stage.
Definitely. I mean, I don't know, it's like in the UK for you, like when you go to gigs, but seeing bands, we either see bands in pubs, and we had a great pub rock sort of scene in Australia, probably in the early 80s. And it changed a little bit when poker machines went into pubs and all that sort of stuff. But a lot of great Australian bands sort of got their chops by playing in the pub circuit. You know, so you can go and see them any night a week. You know, In Excess, Midnight Oil, or Nick Cave, you know, Birthday Party, or, you know, sort of any. Yeah, absolutely. You've seen the Go-Betweens? Yeah, they were fantastic.
You saw them, did you? Oh, I'm jealous of you now. They were a great band. A great band. Yeah.
They were. Yeah, saw them at the local pub. You know, and that was a long time ago.
I did see Robert Forster actually last year. He came over and toured England and played in Bristol. Yeah, so I got to see him, but I never saw Go-Between, sadly. But they're a great band.
Yeah, they were a great band, and it was kind of funny that, I mean, Brisbane produced a lot of great bands in the day, and it was kind of weird because back in that time they had a very conservative government in Queensland, and it was, you know, they just had all these great bands like the Saints and Go-Betweens. And, you know, it's like, where are you guys coming from? You know,
I can tell by your face they were happy days.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, Pixies, then, you've already said that Doolittle's your favourite album.
Yeah.
What's your favourite all-time Pixies track?
Oh, that's really hard, Andrew. I knew you were going to ask that.
You knew I was going to ask.
It's a tough one. I guess probably I would say I like River Euphrates. I don't know. I just like that song. But I also, I mean, I love Gouge Away. I love Debaser, you know.
Yeah.
But I'll probably, you know, it's just one of those songs I just really like. I don't ask me why. I mean, but I can wax and wane between favourite Pixie songs. I'm sure. The guy on the Facebook page will do, you know. And quite often their most followed songs is my least favourite. Like I don't mind Where Is My Mind, but it's not my go-to song for the Pixies, you know. And I'm sure a lot of people in the group would say that, you know.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, well, that's the second vote for River Euphrates. So you're not alone. Lee Phillip.
Very good.
Lee Phillip over here in Cheltenham. He chose River Euphrates as well. So you're in good company. Yeah. So okay. So
is it Ride a Tiger or Ride a Tire though? I know.
If you look on all the websites with lyrics, it's Ride a Tiger. So
yes. Yeah, that's it.
How you ride a tiger on the River Euphrates, I'm really not sure, but
I don't know, and I don't know what Charles was thinking of at the time, but who knows what
he's thinking about any time.
He's thinking about when he writes his stuff. Because,
I know.
You know, it's just this stream of consciousness that comes out of the brain, and you know, that's what makes a Pixie special.
And I always think, you know, if you're writing that down and you just look at that and you write those lyrics down, and you think, how is that ever going to be a song? You know.
I know, mate. Yeah, and like, it's just, and I don't know. I mean, I remember listening to the Pixie podcast about Beneath the Eyrie, and you know, it's like, what's the chicken or the egg? You know, what is he? Is it the lyrics that come first? Is he doing the strumming and then the singing? You know, you know, I probably think he's like, because he's a rhythm guitarist, and he's a strummer, and he's probably just meditating and playing something, and then out comes the words, you know.
Yeah. So you're there in your Helen designed Pixies t-shirt.
Indeed, thank you, Helen.
Yeah,
wonderful, it's
beautiful t-shirt.
To Sydney, it's a great t-shirt.
I'm here in my.
I like the way it's on.
I'm here in my local club to my father-in-law and brother-in-law, Shido Park Cricket Club. I thought I'd introduce a bit of sport because
very good.
You're an Australian man, so you like your sport.
I do, and I absolutely love my cricket. and I love, I particularly love when the Ashes is on. I know, obviously, for like our American friends and European friends are probably, even some sensible English people there probably who know better, they would not follow cricket because, I mean, Test cricket, it's like Vegemite, isn't it, Andrew? Like it's really an acquired taste.
Vegemite. That's if Mike Flynn's watching this, that's the Australian version of Marmite. Anyway, yeah. You either love it or you hate it.
Yes, I should go and get some Vegemite, but
I've got some in the cupboard.
Yeah, I mean, you and I, we would go to the cricket, right? We'd sit down, we'd have a rollicking time, we'd probably get sunburnt, and we'd sit there all day. We'd sit there for 5 days, and there'd be no result, and it'd be a draw.
Yeah.
And we'd say it was a fantastic time, and it was one of the best games. Yeah. People would sort of look at us like we're a bunch of idiots.
Yeah.
Which we may well be, but there it is.
So you're happy to talk about Australian Test cricket? Maybe not so keen to talk about one days and 2020s at the moment in England.
I don't mind the one day cricket and T20s. Yes, yeah, okay.
What when you winning?
That it was a New Zealander though, wasn't it? Yeah. He was the New Zealander of the year, Ben Stokes. But that
I know he was.
No,
I know.
It's all good. It was well deserved.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a great player. And I mean, look, they were consistently the best team in the World Cup. So, I mean, New Zealand could have won that game, but it's just one of those things, It was great result for English cricket, But I'm not as big a fan of the short form game of cricket,
Sure.
But I'll still go and watch it. I don't mind. Yeah.
Especially when you're losing against the English.
Yes, okay. Well, we did win the one day, as I can report just recently.
I'm teasing you, only because I can at the moment.
Yeah,
Anyway, back to the t-shirts. Yes. We're here to talk about Pixies, but I made you digress. So you've got your lovely Helen t-shirt on there. Helen. I always call her Helen, but apparently it is Helen.
Right.
Yeah. Are you a collector of Pixies t-shirts, or is that the only one that you've got?
No, I've got two others, and they are the Facebook t-shirts. Mm-hmm. So that Jason has so kindly sort of been in charge of. I think in the US, getting all that sorted, and then Helen designing it. I think Michael, the Australian Michael, he designed the first Pixies t-shirt. I could go and get it and show you, but I've got a couple of those as well.
Okay.
But I like music t-shirts.
Yeah.
I've got some Hooskadoo shirts. I got Sigur Ross. I've got Midnight. I tend to wear. I like wearing them. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a bit quite relaxed over in Australia, isn't it? So you like to get your t-shirt and shorts on as much as possible.
Yeah. We're very. Well,
you got the weather for it.
Yeah. Most of the time. Yeah. Like on a day like I am in my shorts now, so I will say, but I won't scare anyone away by standing up.
You're not going to do a John Cole on us, are you?
No, dear old John. Yes. John's quite the character. I think the problem is if I go to the UK, I'm just going to get stuck with these people who probably very bad company, probably like yourself and John Cole and James down in Kent, and just getting all the trouble.
Oh, James and I are absolutely fine. You won't get into any trouble with James and me, but I can't vouch for John Cole.
Yes, and John's a good artist too.
He is. He is a very, very good artist. Yeah.
So he's an interesting guy. Yeah.
He certainly is an interesting guy. I mean, as you know this story. The first time I met him, he was having a heart attack, literally. So
I couldn't. I just got in the photo. I just so you just don't know. Like John's putting on a brave face. He's being very professional with things. He could be dying. John, come on.
He was having the time of his life. He was meeting me for the first time, Clem. So
Yeah, dear oh dear.
Okay, so you said that you saw Frank Black solo in Sydney as well. Mm-hmm. So on to his solo career after the break, after Trump.
And
Yeah.
how did you feel about his solo career?
I thought it was it started off really well, and I mean the first two albums are great albums. I would probably give my preference to his first album, Frank Black.
Yeah.
In his solo, as you know, his Frank Black years, and you know, I mean, he's a great songwriter, and he's just got, you know, he's really quite productive with what he's done, you know. But I'd say definitely probably that first album is the one that I really like.
Mm-hmm. And a favourite track of his solo career?
Probably off that album, maybe Don't You Rile Em. I think it's the last track on the first album.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know, it just builds up, and then it sort of finishes with a bang, the album, you know, with that, you know.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's the last song. So yeah, that and Parry the Wind, you know.
Okay.
I love.
Yeah. That's already been chosen. That was Jen.
Yes.
Jen Bonoski, she chose that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Don't You Rile Em. I've written it down now, so you can't change your mind.
Okay. You've locked it in. I can't change it now.
I've locked it in.
There's no going back.
I've locked it in, yeah. As they say on, what's that, Millionaire, isn't it, in Australia?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
That's the Australian for final answer, I guess. I'll lock it in. So
I'll lock it in. That's it. I'll lock it in, Eddie.
Eddie, that's
Eddie.
the one. Yeah.
We won't talk about him. He's a clown.
Oh, is he? Is he still going?
Yeah. I mean, probably Danielle and Tasha and Adam down in Melbourne and Luke down in Melbourne, they probably comment about him. I mean, he's got a bit of foot in mouth disease. Let's put it that way.
Right, okay.
Yeah. So he says silly things, you know. But
it happens to the best of us.
It happens.
So happenings then. You've had a few happenings in Australia and New Zealand. Tell me about those and the people that you've met from the group.
No, we were going to one. So unfortunately, for myself anyway, the Sydney happening didn't occur because of COVID-19.
Mm-hmm.
They did one in Melbourne at the gig at I think it was at the Palace Theatre in St Kilda. And so there was a few guys coming from New Zealand as well.
Mm-hmm.
So that was apparently good. We were kind of looking forward to getting together with some people in Sydney because it was on a Saturday, and you know, you didn't have to work the next day type thing, and you know, just enjoy stuff. But so unfortunately, no. Although I must say, there's a Pixies member I met down in Thurrool, which is near Wollongong. Jonathan Nolan is his name, and Jonathan, we caught up and had a coffee one day.
Okay.
He's a really good guy. He's a Irishman. He lives in Australia now. Yeah. But that's really the only happening I've had.
So a cup of coffee. A cup of coffee.
Yeah. So it's very tepid, isn't it?
That's a very sedate happening.
Yeah. Well, I promise we'll do something when you know everything opens up again, when we get back to normal.
Absolutely, yeah. So you said about him being Irish. I think you've got Irish ancestry. Is that right?
Yeah, Irish and Norwegian. My surname is Norwegian. It's more on my father's side. My mother's ancestors are Irish, and it's probably, you know, like a lot of European Australians or white Australians. You know, we've only really been in Australia for over 200 years. So there's a strong Irish, English heritage in Australia, but probably post-war there's, you know, we're very multicultural now, extremely multicultural.
Yeah.
But that's my background. I'm about third or fourth generation. So.
Okay. And have you been over to Ireland at all, or to Norway?
I have, yes. I went there about 20 years ago.
Okay.
And been to the UK, been to London, and loved it. You know, loved Ireland as well. Ireland's a great country.
Yeah, beautiful.
Unfortunately didn't spend enough time in the UK as much as I'd like. And just sort of Europe, and I've been to the States many times. But it's funny, you know, when Australians go overseas, they tend to, probably a bit like Poms when they come to Australia, like you tend to spend, if you go there, you've got to do everything.
Sure.
You just got to do it all. You got to live there. I didn't live in the UK. I was nearly going to work in the States. I was nearly going to be living in Michigan.
Okay.
Yeah, 20 years ago, and I didn't take the work up. But yeah, a lot of Australians tend to go overseas and spend time there. And there's a lot of drunk Australians in London, I'm sure.
Do you want to explain the term POM, which you just used, to maybe some of our American friends don't know what POM means?
For our American friends, POM means Prisoners of Her Majesty. It's a colloquial term that Australians use to describe people from the United Kingdom, primarily English people. Yeah. Welsh, Scots, Irish tend not to get called POMs. It's sort of like a bit of a, just a bit of argy-bargy, you might say, to use, for want of a better word.
Using my name in vain, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Never use the Lord's name.
It's not the first time, don't worry.
So it's often a term of endearment, but it is a term that is used. So now you know what that means.
Usually prefaced with bloody, isn't it? Bloody POMs.
Yeah, bloody, or somewhat other nondescript, undescribable terms.
Yeah. We won't go down that road.
Usually watching some sport or something. Absolutely. Where England is doing Australia over.
Which, of course, happens very rarely, doesn't it, Clem?
That's cool.
Sorry?
There's a lot of rivalry between Australia and England, and in a variety of sports, I guess, isn't there?
Yeah. And culturally as well, a little bit, I guess. So, yeah, we have our stereotypes about Australians, and I guess you have your stereotypes about English people as well. So,
absolutely, and they're all true. No, no, they're not true. But I mean,
there's always some truth. There's always some truth in stereotypes, isn't there?
Absolutely. I mean, there's always the bogan Australian. I can take you out and walk up the road and just show you. You could probably count a few in about 30 seconds. But
so what's a bogan then, Clem?
What's that?
What's a bogan? I mean, I know what a bogan is, but others may not.
Yeah. A bogan is a very uncultured, uncouth person. Yeah. Maybe the Americans might call a bogan a redneck. Yeah. It's someone who's a little, shall we say, just not quite right.
They go to the supermarket in their pajamas and slippers.
Maybe so. They'll yell out. Do you have the term like Karens?
Karens?
Someone who's called a Karen?
No.
A Karen is someone. I've seen it bandied about on the internet, but it's, people. A Karen is someone who's a person who whinges about something, or whinging about not, about having to wear a mask or something, or and so a Karen is someone who might be considered a bogan.
Right. Okay. Got you. I've never heard that one.
There's a bit of a universality to that term. I think it's not just in Australia. It might be, used in the United States as well. I'll stand corrected there.
That's okay. So anyway, we'll go back to the music. So after the split and they reformed, actually before they reformed was Frank Black and the Catholics.
Yes.
Are you into that music?
Yeah. I really, again, probably like the first album of his body of work with the Catholics, the one he made at, I think it was the Sound City. It was, the self-titled album, and I really love that album. I just, I play. It's a sort of album I'll play it, and I've got to play it from start to finish.
Yeah.
Sort of one of those. It's like I can imagine him and the band sitting down in the lounge room and playing the gig. It's just that very live sort of sound, isn't it?
Okay.
I really like that album.
Yeah.
It's one of my favourite.
Favourite track of the Catholics era? Did you say you'd seen the Catholics?
Probably, I would say All My Ghosts, which is the first one.
Yeah.
I like 666, the cover he did. But I probably would give it to I've Got to Move.
I've got to move.
Yeah.
Okay. What is it that you like about that specifically?
I don't know, just his little rhythm intro and just how it comes in and the lead breaks, and yeah, it's just a really good live sound. It's just like a rollicky sort of sound, you know.
Yeah.
Did
you say you saw the Catholics?
No, I never saw the Catholics.
No, okay.
I saw Frank Black.
Yeah.
I don't know if he played when he was in Australia, where Eric Drew Feldman might have toured with him. I stand corrected there. I mean, Kimball would probably be the expert on.
I'm sure he'll let us know.
Absolutely, when he played with Frank Black, you know. But no, I haven't seen the Catholics. The Catholics never came to Australia.
Okay.
As a band, you know.
Yeah, sure. And Beneath the Eyrie. Well, not just Beneath the Eyrie, but after they reformed. So we had Indie Cindy, Head Carrier, and Beneath the Eyrie. How do you feel about that body of work?
Brilliant. Really, I love their old work, and I always will. Yeah. But I'm really sort of encouraged by the fact that they've obviously have gotten back together. They've got a wonderful musician in Pars, and I think what they're producing now is as good as what they've ever done, in my opinion. And Beneath the Eyrie is again, it's that sort of album that for me is really, like, it's well produced. The sequencing of the songs is really good, and it just sort of demands to be listened from start to finish. And yeah, I sort of challenge people to probably think of the Pixies in more modern terms. You know, I know there are those people that think, well, you know, they're not as good as their old stuff. I like their old stuff better than their new stuff. But I think we're lucky to be seeing the Pixies playing, making music now. It's firstly because of Pars, I think. She's really made their game. Not that they were bad musicians, but I think it really sort of got the band, you know, to think, okay, we're playing with a really good musician here who really wants to be in the band. We've got to really be good at what we do. And they're just awesome, you know.
Yeah, she's certainly sort of reinvigorated them, I think, hasn't she, and given them a different dimension.
Absolutely. She is the best thing that has happened to the Pixies in this era. Her coming along, in my view, she brings the best out in them, I think.
And how do you see their future after lockdown and getting back to normality? They promised that they're going to come back and see you guys. So.
Yeah. I hope they will. I'm sure they will. I can see them, you know, making more albums and touring. You know, because they you know, they're lucky. They're getting to play their music. They're playing bigger crowds than ever. They're getting to write music, to play professionally, and you know, I can't see them. You know, I mean, nothing's forever, is it, Andrew? But
no.
I can't see them not being around.
I think Charles will be playing a guitar till the day he dies, won't he? So
I think so. He's that sort of guy, and you know, he's obviously the brains and the drive behind the Pixies in terms of the music that comes out. You know, but obviously without the other members like Dave and Joe and Paz, you know, I mean, it is a band, so you know, it's a good period to be a Pixies fan, definitely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, Clem, it's that last question.
Yes.
You know what's coming?
Oh yes, I know.
So Joe Kirkham, dear Joe Kirkham.
Got to think about it, but you know.
dear Joe Kirkham in Liverpool.
Yep.
She would like to know if you found yourself on a stage naked in front of thousands and thousands of Pixies fans.
Yeah.
What song are you going to sing?
Well, I'm not going to say Bone Machine. But I just did, didn't
Brilliant.
I?
You certainly did, Clem. Yeah, you can't take that one back. So you're going to go for Gigantic then, are you?
No, I didn't think of that. No.
Pete Norris Pete Norris went for The Thing.
Yes. I just have to, you know, maybe just scream out Bells Back and, you know, just do it all in a minute and then just run off, you know.
Get it over and done with nice and quickly.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Hope Miles's lighting is very, you know, tasteful. And
Have a word with him beforehand. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I'll say, Miles, you know, just be sensitive, mate.
Clem, it's been brilliant talking to you. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. And hopefully when we get back over to Australia again, we may be able to swing by Sydney and catch up with you.
Mate, you are always welcome. It'd be great to see you in Jordan when you come out.
Thank you.
And thank you for doing what you're doing. It's a great, this is a great concept, and it's really great being able to listen to everyone. It's fantastic.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you.
I'm meeting some great people, including yourself. So thank you very much for your time.
Thanks again.
All the best.
And, have a great day.
Cheers.
Thanks, Andrew.
Bye.
Bye now. Thank you. Bye.